The Holy Gospel of our Savior Jesus Christ, according to Matthew. Jesus withdrew in a boat to a deserted place by himself, but when the crowds heard it, they followed him on foot from the towns. When he went ashore, he saw a great crowd, and he had compassion for them and cured their sick. When it was evening, the disciples came to him and said, "This is a deserted place, and the hour is now late. Send the crowds away so that they may go into the village and buy food for themselves." Jesus said to them, "They need not go away. You give them something to eat." They replied, "We have nothing but 5 loaves and 2 fish. And he said, "Bring them here to me." Then he ordered the crowds to sit down on the grass. Taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, he looked up to heaven and blessed and broke the loaves and gave them to the disciples. And the disciples gave them to the crowds. And all ate and were filled. And they took up what was left over of the broken pieces, 12 baskets full. And those who ate were about 5,000 men, besides women and children. The Gospel of Christ. Praise to you, Lord. In the name of the Blessed Trinity, one holy and living God. Amen. Please be seated. Can you feel the disciples' anxiety this morning? All of a sudden, they are in charge of something that they had never done before. Something they had no plan for. Something impossible, yet important to Jesus. Once Jesus came ashore, his compassion took things in a new direction. A different priority was made. No longer able to be in a boat by himself for some respite in a deserted place, he's now engaging with a multitude of 5,000. Plus women and children. You know, how sweet to be included by Matthew, but not really included, to be there, but not counted. Harumph. Okay, so there's a lot of people. That's another sermon. There's a lot of people there, and it's getting late. What had been about individualism or a small group suddenly became about the greater community. The need was both emergent and urgent. And the disciples are rightly concerned about food, and they helpfully offer suggestions as to what to do so they don't have a hangry, that's angry with an H for hungry, so they don't have a hangry crowd on their hands. I mean, they're probably a little bit hangry themselves because Jesus had no plan for food. But the thing is, he did have a plan, and he stated it very clearly. You feed them. 2 fish, 5 loaves, 12 disciples, and a hangry multitude. It was a terrible plan, which is what makes it a great miracle story. As with all the miracle stories, Jesus had compassion and acted. But multiplying the fish and loaves was not really the most miraculous thing that happened. I mean, it's not even the first miraculous desert feeding. Remember Moses and manna, right? Being abundant is what God does. The miracle, in my opinion, was getting everyone to sit down as a multitude and share in that abundance. You know, the disciples probably didn't even need to worry about dinner at all. Folks don't leave home for long durations without packing something to eat back then. There were too many dietary restrictions. Somewhere in the crowd, just like today, there's going to be a parent or several with snacks packed in their oversized mom bags, right? Just in case. So it's quite possible that when the disciples got the crowd to sit down with one another and Jesus broke out his picnic, people added what they had brought to this unexpected feast. And that's why I love this story, because it illustrates a possibility that much of society has forgotten. We can actually share. That's the miracle. Humanity being the actuator or catalyst for miracles does not diminish what God can do, by the way. To the contrary, it increases what is possible when we actually allow God to work within us. That said, we have a long way to go before we all sit down together as a multitude again, don't you think? But I am heartened to say that people are working on it. In truly prophetic fashion, the right questions about why hunger and homelessness exist are being asked. The right questions are being asked, and those questions are annoying the right people. But more importantly, new behaviors of existence are being lived out in real time. This is good news. For example, our monk son, Brother Daniel, shared with us the monastery's aspiration to have a food forest on their grounds where guests could harvest for their own needs or assist with the refectory's meals. It's gleaning, basically, which is very biblical. Landowners were commanded by God not to harvest the edges of the field, nor were they to go back and get what was left behind or had fallen to the ground. Gleaning was intentionally holding back from expecting every grain to be profitable and leaving food available for the most vulnerable in the community. This is God's law. You can find it in Deuteronomy and Leviticus. Gleaning in the context of abundance theology is a cornerstone practice in what I have long called God's economy. What's exciting is that the practice has grown beyond churches, expecting the homeless and hungry populations to help themselves to the community gardens. It's grown beyond those who can afford donating to nonprofit food pantries. It is now taking shape in the secular world in a very counter-cultural way. This small but now visible and growing movement is redefining profit to mean mutual flourishing, not mutual subsistence or existence. Flourishing. The movement has gained enough momentum, in fact, to give it a name: the gift economy. Now, empire, of course, has other names for the movement. They are not sermon-worthy. But the irony in the empire's disdain is that it has been the greedier or unchecked aspects of the market economy, the mass accumulation of wealth for only a small percentage of the population, that has driven the participation in a shared gift-based economy. Unable to afford rent or home ownership, for example, an entire generation of young people are forced to share, and when privilege allows, has elevated this experience to an enviable level of community. I know of one situation where rent of an upstairs flat is paid, at least in part, as direct equity into the house itself. Remodeling, painting, repair, landscaping with native vegetation and gardening. It's work that upstairs and downstairs do together. And when I asked the homeowner why he decided to go this route, he said, "I am fortunate enough to own my own home. Housing is a human right. I am not going to charge people for shelter." Is there mutual flourishing in that home? Yes. Yes, there is. Is this a new concept? No. No, it is not. When it comes to creation and our part in it, besides being a biblical mandate, the gift economy is an ancient indigenous practice that continues to this day. In her book, Braiding Sweetgrass, Robin Wall Kimmerer speaks about the gift economy in this way. We are showered every day with gifts, but they are not meant for us to keep. Their life is in their movement, the inhale and the exhale of our shared breath. Our work and our joy is to pass along the gift and to trust that what we put out into the universe will always come back. End quote. Through the articulation of lived experiences, other, meaning non-native, stewards of land are also breaking from the market economy. Brother Daniel told me about a farm in upstate New York he's been working with called Fruition Seeds. They have recently embarked on a journey of generosity. I'm quoting their website. After 12 years of growing and sharing regionally adapted seeds in our watershed and around the world, the steward's right. Fruition will soon be sharing seeds as a gift-inspired practice rather than selling seeds as a market-driven business. The call is simple enough. Seeds are gifts. Gifts are shared, not sold, not hoarded or otherwise contained by control. How might our receiving and giving be so generous and joyful that we can no longer discern the difference and leave behind our ledgers? End quote. Their story is fascinating, and I've noted their website on the print version of my sermon. And their story is also hopeful. The gift economy has already and will continue to be called many things by the empire in an attempt to devalue it, in an attempt to devalue those who want to break the cycle of poverty. You will hear it said that the gift economy is un-American. Sadly, that is currently a very accurate statement. The gift economy is un-American, but it is not un-Christian, dear faithful. Now, Christian nationalists are confused about the difference, so I'm going to lay it out plainly. If Jesus had been interested in promoting a market economy, he would have prepared his disciples to set up food trucks to charge his captive audience for the nourishment they needed. With such a high demand for food and such a small supply of fish and loaves, they could charge a lot. They could have made a tidy profit. They might even have been able to convince themselves that doing so was an investment in ministry. This bottom line is for you, Jesus. But I'm going to keep most of it because I work hard. I earned it. But the thing is, Jesus already told Satan to go back to you-know-where he tried to tempt him with this same kind of nonsense. The prosperity gospel is a lie the devil sold. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. God's economy has and always will be about mutual flourishing. The miracle of fish and loaves, the feeding of the multitude, is definitely a story of mutual flourishing, where the fear of scarcity is overwhelmed by the trust in God's abundance. And the miracle is so critical to the understanding of who Jesus is and what he came to do. It appears in all 4 of the Gospels, and twice in Matthew and Mark. Jesus' birth wasn't even that important. You feed them. It's not a request. You feed them, Jesus commands his disciples. You bring them together, you distribute, and you gather the fragments, not just the fragments of bread, but the fragments of society also, so nothing and no one is left to waste again. It was a lot to ask of the disciples. In the moment, they didn't think they were enough or had enough. And after centuries of empirical entanglement and indoctrination, it's even harder for us to wrap our heads around this. Fruition Seeds asked the following as part of their discernment. Friends, how might we trust our gifts are enough? How might we practice receiving graciously, trusting our inherent worth, separate from our giving? What generosity emerges from this trust? And I can't answer those questions for you, but if it helps, I can tell you we are already living the miracle. Jesus took the loaves, he blessed them, he broke them, and they were distributed until all were filled. It was a miracle. In every Eucharist, we bring our meager offering, our 2 fish, our 5 loaves, our loose plate. And Lord, have mercy, we bring all of our broken pieces. We bring them all to the altar. And every Eucharist, Jesus calls us to do more. He calls us to take the loaves, give thanks, and then give it to the people. There is enough. God is abundant. And when we allow ourselves for God to be abundant within us, we will make miracles happen. Thanks be to God.